As a child, did you have a favorite book?
I don't think I had one particular favorite book, but I do remember like a few of them. Um, there was a collection of poems by, I think it was Louis Untermeyer, was the editor of the volume. And I think I read my first Robert Frost poem, my favorite poet, in that book. And I used to thumb through it all the time. There were great illustrations in the book as well, like little line drawings, some of them with color, a lot of them in brown and white. And then there was a couple of books. One was called The King, the Mice, and the Cheese. And the other one was Dr. Dolittle. And I thought you might ask this question. And so I was actually reading Dr. Dolittle
Ah,
to my grandsons a while ago, and it's sitting here on the desk in my studio. So I have the other two books as well. I just have to fish them out from my bookshelves. But yeah, those were the three books. Like those are like my go-to books. And the book of poetry, I used to look at that all the time, especially for the illustration. So yeah, I did have some favorites that I went to. But I think in looking back, it really was like the illustrations that pulled me into wanting to actually read the books.
Um, I like biographies a lot. I always thought that the really good biographies are ones that spent a lot of time, a lot of honest time, talking about a famous or accomplished person when they were your age, whatever age that was. And I felt like that connected me. And then I had sort of a vested interest in seeing how it came out, because all of a sudden now all the things that they achieved or the problems they solved, or the famous events they were involved in, all those, it made you feel like you could, that could be you. There was a series that was done, I think, by American Heritage, and it was a series of books about all the presidents up to probably Lyndon Johnson. So I'm dating myself a little bit here. But those are really, really good. And what I remember about those books is that, for a lot of presidents, there's no photography available at all, but they use actual stuff, I think from museums probably, or stuff that American Heritage had access to really show things that this person from the 1850s would have held in their hand, or something that they wrote, or something like that. So that made a big impression on me.
Yes, there was absolutely, without a doubt, Go Dog Go by P.D. Eastman. The way it was written is sort of like, it was kind of like a book form of Laugh-In. They were just little short things that were funny. I love the relationship of the male dog and the do you like my hat dog? And in the end, that 2-page spread of the party in the top of the tree, I would stare at that and wish that I was at that party. And I would worry about, why are they jumping on a trampoline at the top of a tree? Somebody's going to get hurt. Wow, look at all those ice cream flavors. It was just, I love that book. And I think about it sometimes when I'm doing things, especially that spread of putting extra things into my work, so that when you're reading it for the 5th or 6th or 10th or 100th time, maybe you'll discover something that you didn't ever see before. And another illustrator like that is Tommy Ungerer, who's one of my all-time heroes. I love his book, The Hat and the Beast of Monsieur Racine. There's a kind of a chaotic, anarchic quality to his work, and you see things that you may not normally see in a picture book. In the background, you'll see a tree stump with an axe with just a little bit of blood dripping off the tree stump. And you're like, what happened in that? Why did he include that? Or a guy getting his eye poked by an umbrella in a crowd. There's just all these beautiful little details. He's kind of like the Marx Brothers of illustrators.
Like I always went to the library. I was always checking out like the maximum amount of books I could have. I was not returning them. I'm very sorry to every librarian I ever interacted with. I probably still have some library books hidden in my house somewhere. Like I was one of those kids who really liked horses. I had a horse. I have a horse now. I still have horses. So I always had some kind of horse book on loan. I probably reread every horse book like 9 billion times. Margaret Henry and Walter Farley, everyone loves them. Lynn Hall had a really cool series about a horse, and I think they're out of print now, which is super sad. But also I loved history books, which, kind of translates now, and, books about other cultures. I really liked Gene Craighead George's books. They were always just like the next step of opening your mind of what else could be out there. And I loved Anne McCaffrey and Piers Anthony too.
I do know I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe multiple times. I just really loved that book and thinking about the ideas in it. And A Wrinkle in Time, that was also a favorite of mine.